All right, so get ready because today we're going to dive deep into self-talk.
Ooh, self-talk.
But with a twist.
Okay.
We're focusing on a technique called reframing.
Reframing, interesting.
And to help us with this, we're going to be looking at the work of Japanese psychologist Teru Nakashima.
Okay, I'm familiar with some of his work.
He's like all about helping people unlock their confidence and really achieve those goals.
It's so important, that inner voice.
Absolutely.
It can really make or break us.
Yeah, so what's fascinating about Nakashima's approach is that he really emphasizes this idea that the words we use,
Interesting.
even just in our own heads, they have this real impact on how we feel and even how we act.
So it's not just about, positive vibes, right?
Right.
There's actual science behind this.
Yeah, there's some real science backing this up.
Fascinating.
It's pretty cool.
So, almost like we're programming ourselves with our own words.
Yeah, exactly. Our self-talk is like this internal script that we're constantly writing.
Oh, I like that.
And it can almost program us, for certain outcomes.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, too, about, the people around us.
Right.
How they impact our self-talk.
Oh, absolutely.
Nakashima even suggests that, if you're surrounded by people with, super high self-esteem, it can actually boost your own.
Whoa, so it's like contagious almost.
It's this positive energy that you kind of absorb.
It makes me think about, mirror neurons.
Oh, interesting.
You know, how when we observe actions, our brains fire as if we're doing them ourselves.
Right.
Is there a connection there, do you think?
I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
There's definitely a link, I think, between how our brains process other people's behavior.
Okay.
And even their emotions. And how that, feeds back into our own internal state.
Wow, that's pretty profound.
It is.
So it's like we're constantly in this feedback loop with ourselves and with others.
Yeah, and Nakashima really highlights this by pointing out how, those really common negative phrases, the things we say all the time.
The ones we don't even notice.
Exactly, I'm so tired.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
This is pointless.
I hate when I get in that mindset.
Yeah, and they seem so harmless, right, at first, but they can really trigger these feelings of defeat.
Wow.
And actually, prevent us from taking action.
So they really hold us back.
They do. It's they're these little seeds of negativity.
Yeah. And it's funny how those phrases, they seem so harmless, but they can really snowball into this, this spiral.
It's like a downward spiral.
I know. I've definitely fallen into that trap before.
Oh, we all have.
It's so easy to do.
It is. It is.
But what's interesting is that Nakashima offers this solution.
Okay.
And it's called reframing.
Reframing. Okay.
Have you heard of this?
I have. Yeah. It's
pretty cool.
It reminds me of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh, yeah.
But applied to our self-talk.
Exactly. Instead of just letting those negative phrases, run on autopilot, we actively replace them with more empowering language.
So you're taking control of that narrative.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So instead of I'm tired, maybe it's I've accomplished a lot today. I'm going to push through.
I like that.
It's like a mental judo move.
Yes, redirecting that energy.
Yeah, redirecting that negative energy.
Exactly.
It's pretty cool.
I love that analogy.
Nakashima, he really encourages us to become more aware of these phrases.
Yeah.
And consciously swap them out.
Right.
For example, he says, instead of, this is pointless, you could say, I'm curious to understand this better.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right.
Yeah.
And instead of, I'm going to miss this deadline, you could say, let's strategize and make this happen.
So instead of accepting defeat, you're problem solving.
Exactly. You're taking action. It's a much more empowering approach.
It is. It is.
But is there evidence that this internal dialogue shift actually leads to real change?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, what's really interesting is that there have been studies on these cognitive reframing techniques. And they have shown.
What have they shown?
That they can lead to increased motivation.
Okay, that makes sense.
A greater sense of control and a more positive outlook overall.
So it's like
rewiring your brain.
Yeah, rewiring your brain's response to challenges.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
It is. It is.
So it's not just about feeling good. It's equipping yourself to really handle whatever comes your way.
Precisely. It's building that inner resilience.
Yes, exactly.
And what's even more fascinating is that Nakashima, he argues.
What's he argue?
That this positive self-talk, it extends beyond just personal benefit.
Oh, okay.
When we encourage others or we give someone a compliment. He says we're actually subconsciously reinforcing those positive messages.
Within ourselves?
Within ourselves, yeah. It's like
wow.
creating this ripple effect.
So are you saying there's a connection between, like,
I think so.
being kind to others and boosting our own self-esteem?
I think there's definitely a link there.
That's really interesting.
It is, you know?
Never thought about it that way.
Think about it this way. Every time you offer genuine encouragement to someone, you're also practicing those positive thought patterns.
In your own mind.
In your own mind. It's like a positive feedback loop.
Wow, that's a really cool way to look at it.
It is. And it brings us to another point.
Okay.
That Nakashima emphasizes.
What's that?
And that's the relationship between our language and our self-worth.
Okay.
He says that by consistently choosing positive words, we actually strengthen our own sense of confidence.
So we're not just managing negativity, we're actually building a stronger sense of self.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how powerful this whole concept of reframing really is.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, it really is.
It shifts your whole perspective.
It does. Okay, so last time we really dug into how our internal dialogue, you know, even those tiny phrases we use can shape our reality.
It's amazing, right? How powerful our thoughts are.
And this whole idea of reframing, where we actively swap those negative thoughts for more empowering language.
Right.
It's got me thinking differently about, like, everything.
I know. It's a game changer.
It is.
But what's fascinating is that Nakashima doesn't stop there.
Oh.
He goes deeper.
Okay. Tell me more.
He actually explores how our social environment impacts our self-esteem.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Are you saying that the people we hang out with can affect how we feel about ourselves?
Absolutely. His research shows that being around people with low self-esteem can actually bring your own self-esteem down.
Wow. So it's not just about our own thoughts. It's not.
It's also about the energy.
It is.
Of those around us.
Exactly. It's like we're absorbing their energy.
That's making me rethink who I spend time with.
It's worth considering.
But so does that mean, like, we need to cut off everyone who's struggling with self-doubt?
Not necessarily. It's not about cutting people off.
Yeah.
It's more about, like, being aware.
Aware of what?
Of the energy we're taking in. And making sure we're also surrounding ourselves with things that uplift us and help us grow.
I like that.
You know, like tending a garden.
Okay, yeah.
You want to surround yourself with plants that thrive.
So we've got our social circle.
Right.
But what about that internal dialogue?
That's key, too.
How do we, like, actively cultivate a more positive inner world?
This is where Nakashima's concept of positive affirmations comes in.
Okay, I've heard of affirmations.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I get, like, how they work.
Well, remember how we talked about the power of suggestion? Our brains are like sponges.
They soak everything up. Exactly. They absorb the messages we feed them.
Both good and bad.
Exactly.
So are you saying that just repeating positive phrases can really make a difference?
It's not just about empty repetition.
Okay.
It's about consciously choosing language that empowers us.
Like, instead of saying, I can't do this.
Right, exactly. You could say, I'm capable of figuring this out.
So you're basically reframing that limiting belief.
Exactly.
Into something more empowering.
Yeah, you're replacing it with a new belief.
But how does that actually work, like, psychologically?
Well, Nakashima believes that when we repeat these positive affirmations, our subconscious mind starts to accept them as truth.
Oh, interesting.
It's like the same way it internalizes negative self-talk.
So it's like retraining our brains.
It is. It's like rewiring those neural pathways.
To think more positively. It's almost like we're writing our own internal code.
I love that. That's a great analogy.
Wait, over time, these affirmations, they become part of us.
They do. They influence our thoughts and our feelings.
Even our actions.
Absolutely.
It's pretty incredible.
It aligns with this concept of neuroplasticity.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
The idea that our brains can actually change and adapt.
Based on our experiences.
And our thought patterns.
Wow.
It's amazing, right?
But what about those days when, like, the negative thoughts just take over?
Those days are going to happen.
They are.
But remember, it's not about denying those negative emotions.
Okay.
It's about acknowledging them, but not letting them control us.
So finding that balance between acknowledging the negative without letting it, like, run the show.
You got it.
Nakashima says reframing isn't about suppressing those emotions.
Right.
It's about choosing a different response.
Choosing a more empowering response.
So we always have a choice.
We always have a choice.
In how we react.
Exactly.
Makes me think of Viktor Frankl.
Oh, interesting connection.
His work on finding meaning in suffering
Powerful stuff.
Even when things are really tough,
Yeah.
we can still choose our attitude.
We can choose how we respond.
Nakashima's work is similar.
It is.
Even if we can't find that silver lining,
right,
we can still focus on what we can learn.
Exactly, turning those setbacks into opportunities for growth.
So instead of dwelling on what's wrong,
Yeah.
we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this?
Or how can I use this to get stronger?
It's a subtle shift.
It is.
But it's powerful.
It can make all the difference.
This whole conversation is making me realize how much power we have over our own happiness.
That's the key takeaway.
Yeah.
We're not powerless.
We have the ability to create a better life.
A more fulfilling life.
By choosing our thoughts.
Reframing negativity.
And surrounding ourselves with those positive influences.
It all works together.
Definitely a framework I want to keep exploring.
I encourage you to.
Before we move on, is there anything else about putting this into practice that Nakashima highlights?
There is, actually.
All right, so we've talked about the science behind it. We've talked about those social influences.
Yeah.
But I really want to get into,
the practical stuff.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty. How do we actually use this?
Right. How do we put it into practice?
Reframing in our daily lives.
Well, good news, Nakashima. He actually gives us some pretty tangible tools.
Okay, that's what I like to hear.
And he emphasizes.
Yeah.
It's not about these big overhauls.
Okay, Hugh.
You don't have to change everything overnight.
Right.
It's more about cultivating these simple, sustainable habits.
So small steps.
Small steps.
Consistent changes.
Consistent, exactly.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah, much more manageable.
So what kind of habits are we talking about?
Well, one of the most potent practices.
Okay.
It's called the gratitude practice.
Gratitude practice.
The gratitude, yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's pretty simple, actually.
Tell me more.
Each day, you take a few moments to consciously reflect on three things you're grateful for.
3 things, okay.
It could be anything.
Anything.
Big or small.
Give me some examples.
A delicious meal you ate.
Okay.
A sunny day. A nice conversation with a friend.
So it's kind of like keeping a gratitude journal.
It can be, but the real key is to really feel that appreciation.
Like really embody it.
Exactly.
But how does that tie into reframing negativity?
Well, gratitude.
Okay.
It's like this antidote to negativity.
Interesting.
When we focus on what we're thankful for, our attention shifts away from what's lacking or wrong.
It's like that whole scarcity mindset versus abundance.
You got it.
Instead of focusing on what's missing, you're appreciating what you have.
Exactly. And what's really cool, Nakashima's research, it suggests that this practice, gratitude, it has so many benefits.
Like what?
Well, studies have shown increased happiness.
Okay, that makes sense.
Stronger relationships.
Wow.
Even improved physical health.
That's incredible.
That's pretty powerful.
So it's like this simple habit.
It is.
But it has these ripple effects.
It does.
That touch, everything.
Every aspect of your life.
I love that.
And remember, it doesn't have to be these grand gestures.
Right.
It's about finding those little moments of joy.
The simple things.
Exactly, like a good cup of coffee.
Yes.
Or a laugh with a friend.
It's not about waiting for that big thing.
Right.
To finally be happy.
It's about finding those little joys every day.
Yeah, and as you practice more, your brain starts to look for them.
It does. It becomes more attuned to the positive.
It's like we're training our minds to see the good.
Even amidst challenges.
Even when things are tough.
Exactly.
And that shift is really empowering.
It is.
Okay, the gratitude practice is going on my list.
I highly recommend it.
But are there other things we can do
There are.
to reframe negativity?
Nakashima also highlights self-compassion.
Self-compassion?
Self-compassion, have you heard of this?
I have, but I'm not sure I fully get it.
It's basically about...
What is it about?
Extending kindness and understanding to yourself.
Okay.
The same way you would to a friend.
So like being nice to yourself.
It's more than that.
More than that, okay.
It's recognizing that we're all human.
We all make mistakes.
Exactly.
Instead of beating ourselves up, we offer support and encouragement.
To ourselves.
Much better than that inner critic.
Much better. It's about being your own best friend.
And it's not about letting ourselves off the hook.
Right. Not about making excuses.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that we're all a work in progress.
We're all learning.
Exactly. And treating ourselves with patience.
And understanding.
And understanding, yeah.
So instead of focusing on those negative judgments, we choose a more supportive dialogue.
It's like that internal cheerleader.
Exactly.
And when we practice this, it creates a more nurturing environment within us.
Makes it easier to bounce back from those challenges.
And keep growing.
Is there evidence that this actually works?
There is. Research shows self-compassion leads to more happiness, resilience, and well-being.
Okay, so self-compassion, gratitude.
Yeah.
Any other tools Nakashima recommends?
One more I want to highlight.
Okay.
It's called mindful movement.
Mindful movement, does that mean yoga?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's simply about bringing awareness
to what?
To your body.
My body.
And your physical sensations.
How does that tie into all this?
Well, our bodies, they hold tension.
Oh, yeah.
And stress.
Without us even realizing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And mindful movement helps us release that.
So, like, going for a walk in nature.
That's one way.
Okay.
Gentle stretching, dancing.
It's about letting go of those negative emotions.
Yes, physically releasing them.
Interesting. So we're shifting our attention away.
Away from the negative.
And creating space for more positive energy.
Exactly. It's like a moving meditation.
I like that.
Yeah, quieting the mind.
But also taking care of the body.
It's a powerful combination.
And even a few minutes can make a difference.
Absolutely, even a few minutes each day.
This has been so eye-opening.
Glad to hear it.
I feel inspired.
That's what we like to hear.
And ready to start using these tools.
It's all about taking those small steps.
You've given us so much to think about.
And so much to try.
Before we wrap up,
yeah,
anything else you want to share about Nakashima's work?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we all have the power.
The power to do what?
To create a more positive life.
A more fulfilling life.
It starts with awareness.
Of our thoughts.
Choosing our words carefully.
And practicing those habits.
That nurture our well-being.
It's so empowering.
It is.
We're not at the mercy of negativity.
We have the tools.
To choose a different path.
A more positive path.
This whole deep dive has been a game changer for me.
I'm so happy to hear that.
I'm feeling so much more optimistic.
And ready to put all this into practice.
Yes, absolutely.
Remember, negativity is a part of life.
It is.
But you have the tools to reframe it.
To shift my perspective.
And create a life that's full of joy and meaning.
Well, listeners, that wraps up our deep dive.
Into the world of reframing negativity.
With the incredible wisdom of Teru Nakashima.
We hope you've enjoyed it.
And feel inspired.
To put these techniques into practice.
Go out there, reframe those thoughts.
Embrace gratitude.
Practice that self-compassion.
Keep moving mindfully.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.
Keep learning.
And keep diving deep.
We'll see you on our next deep dive adventure.